my beautiful book besties, welcome to my channel. My name is Liv if you're new here, and today we have the biggest, best, coziest November TBR to talk about. I'm sitting here talking about November. October was such an insanely crazy busy month. Like, I was not anticipating it to be as crazy as it was, and I didn't feel like I fully got to enjoy the coziness or the fall vibes of the season. But for the month of November, I am actually going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus. I have an insane amount of things on my plate with full-time work. I'm busy the next 2 weekends. I'm going to be out of town for one, and right now I just have to take care of my mental health and also my physical health. I've been working overtime, I haven't been reading much, and I can just feel myself slowly slipping away and just wanting to hibernate and getting very unmotivated for like everything in life, and usually that is a sure sign of burnout. So I'm going to be taking some personal time away. I don't know when exactly I'm going to come back, but it will definitely be by the end of this month. I'm not going to disappear for 2 months or anything, but when I do come back, I am going to be full on into holiday mode. I will catch you guys up on everything I've been reading. Hopefully most of these books will be read, and hopefully I will just have a renewed mind and I will be so much more energetic because your girl is exhausted right now. It is just a crazy time of year, I feel like, for everyone, and the best thing I could possibly do is take a step back. I did just want to make that little tiny announcement, not that I owe anyone anything, but just in case you're looking for a Sunday upload for me and you're like, where's Liv? I have decided to take a couple weeks off so that way I can just be refreshed for the holidays. That being said, November, I am just going to fully embrace the coziness of the season. Last year I brought on Christmas November 1st. I had the tree up, but this year my mind is just not ready for Christmas yet. So I am using this in between holidays to just kind of catch up on reading. So this TBR is a very big one actually, and most of it is cozy fantasy, but a lot of these you've also seen on previous TBRs, so I feel like there's nothing going to be surprising here. I'm not going to talk super in depth about all the books because you've heard me talk about them before. Without further rambling, let's just go ahead and talk about all of these fantasy books. The first book that I always like to talk about in every TBR is my monthly Patreon book club read for the Tea Time Society, and this month was a bit of an interesting pick. I have been trying to include backlisted books because not everyone has the money or the means to buy a brand new like hardback release every month. So you guys chose What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, and I'm so excited that this one was chosen because I'm actually hoping to meet her in a couple weekends when I go to a book festival. So I'm super stoked to hopefully get to this very, very soon. I don't know much about it other than it is set in Egypt and it is a historical romance. I believe our main character is an archaeologist who somehow inherits this giant fortune or something. I really don't know much about it at all. I'm going into it very blind, but this will be my first book by this author, and I'm very excited because Woven in Moonlight was one of the first finished hardback books like I ever got from a publisher. So I feel like this author is destined to be a 5-star like auto-buy author for me, and that's really what I'm hoping from this book. So if you've read this one or you want to read along with us, you can definitely jump on my Patreon below, where The Library Hides just came out, the second book in the series, which is perfect timing to finally read this one. I know it's been on a lot of our TBRs throughout the year, so I'm super excited to chat about this one with you guys. The next 3 books I'm currently in the middle of, and I have shamefully been reading Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins since this summertime or the beginning of the year. I did a reread or read along of this entire series with my patrons because Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes had just come out, and it made me so eager to get back into these. But if you know what happens in the last 100 pages of Mockingjay, you will probably understand why I have not finished this series yet, because I am not emotionally prepared to sob my eyes out for 2 days straight. So I have been putting this off for a long time. I've been tabbing and highlighting all of my favorite moments, and I'm just so glad we're getting Sunrise on the Reaping. Like, this was the perfect time to reread this series, but again, I haven't finished it and I must finish this by the end of the year. This next book I did did start right at the beginning of September, I think is when this book came out, but then the hurricane happened, and honestly, I was losing interest in a lot of books and reading at the time, and this is one of those that got left behind. We have An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This book isn't necessarily disappointing me, it's just not what I expected it to be, and I really am enjoying the writing. This is my first book by this author, but there's definitely a big lull in the middle right now. This book includes so many different genres that it's hard to explain this book. It's not necessarily scientifical or hard to understand, but I just don't like any of the characters. Even our main character I just feel okay about. Right now I'm sitting at like a 3.5 star. I really hope the ending does something great. I think I have maybe 200 pages left. This is definitely not my last book by this author, but it's just too slow right now for my mood, but hopefully by the end of this month I will finish this one off. And the next book that I'm actively currently reading because I could not hold off any longer. It has been a while since I've been this invested in a series and just want to binge the whole thing. That is Hunting Prince Dracula. I read Jack the Ripper, I think earlier this month or September, and it was incredible. I've heard that the second book is even better. This one so far is set in Romania at a castle, and it's like dark academia, and I feel like that is the perfect vibe for November. Her writing just sucks you right in, and I can already tell she's going to be an autobi author. So I have been super enjoying this one, super enjoying the series, so I'm hoping to read more backlisted books in the new year. Another book that I would really love to read, which is a new release this year, but I've had 3 really close friends give this 5 stars and said it is the coziest Halloween week read. And even though Halloween has passed, I still want to read this before the year ends because I did borrow this copy from my friend Elizabeth. So I really want to get to A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallis Kinney. I know very little about this other than it is like magical, witchy, cozy vibes. It just says a warm spellbinding tale about a witch and the secrets her coven has been keeping from her, with echoes of the classic Hades and Persephone story and the tradition of practical magic and Witch of Wild things. I did read the first chapter and I already really love the writing. It's very simple, but it's also very atmospheric. I just feel like this author has the potential to blow up possibly, so I really want to get to this one. I feel like it's just gonna be magical and cozy, which is what this whole month of reading for me is gonna be about. And then we have Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree that I'm going to be buddy reading with some friends. We all are just baffled at ourselves that we have not read this book yet. It came out last year and we were so excited about it because we fell in love with Legends and Lattes. That was like my first taste of what cozy fantasy actually is. The descriptions are adorable and the coffee shop vibes are just impeccable, especially for this time of year. It is just such a warm giant hug and I love this book. I really hope Travis Baldree continues to write cozy fantasy because I cannot picture him writing anything else. I am one of his #1 biggest fans now. Next I have 2 series that I must finish and I must continue because I feel like it is a crime at this point that I have not read these books, and that is Finale by Stephanie Garber. I blazed through back-to-back Caraval and Legendary, absolutely fell in love, and Spectacular just came out as well, so of course I want to be able to read that during the holiday season. So that is going to be the push I need to read this. Even though her books are more backlisted, they still hold up to this day. They're just so whimsical and fun, and I love the characters. Obviously I can't really talk about Finale much. I don't even really know where we're going with the story from here, but she is just so magical and so fun. I'm just gonna be so happy to say that I finally finished another series because that is one of my terrible traits, is starting a series and never finishing, and we're not gonna let that happen. Speaking of series that is a crime that I have not completed is Assassin's Blade, aka Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is my next book before I jump into Heir of Fire. I have 6 more in the series. I am just craving a Sarah J. Maas book. For someone that always says she's one of my favorite authors and yet I've not read all of her series, again, that is just, I cannot believe myself for that. So we are going to be diving back into this world. I don't think I'm going to complete this series by the end of the year, but it's always possible, especially because I have a pretty big 2-week break in December into January, so who knows. I feel like if I don't know what I'm in the mood for, I can always turn to Sarah J. Maas because she never disappoints. The next book is one you guys are probably so sick of me saying I'm gonna read, but I am gonna read it. This is going to be the third book I read in November, and that is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I feel like this is the perfect book for a day like today specifically. It's gray outside, and I just feel like this book is going to feel so magical right now. There's ancestral magic, unsolved murder, and a second chance at true love, which are all things that I absolutely adore. She's quickly become one of my favorite authors, so I must catch up on her backlist. And then we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries, which I did start last year, but it was during spooky season, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I just want to read spooky books right now. And this book specifically is going to be great to pick up right now because there are dated diary entries, and the first one starts on October 20th. I feel like it's going to be cozy and kind of slow, but I really feel like I could end up loving this. I already own the second one. It's a cozy fantasy, and that's what we're leaning into this month, so I feel like this one is a no-brainer. Assistant to the Villain, on the other hand, I know 100% this is going to be a favorite of the year, so I am choosing to prioritize this month. I just saw that the third title just got released as well. A lot of people talk about this series non-stop. I've already followed the author on Instagram, and she is so sweet but yet so funny, and I can only imagine how good this book is going to be just because of her personality. This one's a cozy kind of romantasy. I know there's a really funny frog and animals and creatures and just all sorts of fairy tale like elements to this where I'm like, yep, this is exactly what I'm in the mood for right now. This is also my best friend Kendall's favorite book like ever now. I will always trust her on that, and so I am definitely going to make this a priority. Speaking of Kendall, as well as my friend Elizabeth, they have been ranting and raving non-stop to me about you have to read this book. That is A Feather So Black by Lyra Selene. This book, I know, once again, I have this feeling, this whole TBR I think is hopefully going to be 5 stars, but if any of them are going to be like 6 out of 5 stars, it's going to be this one. It's about a changeling marked by magic, a princess bound by a curse, a fae lord with a dark secret, a kingdom on the brink of war. So I don't know much other than that, but if you tell me fae, I'm pretty much sold on just that alone. The last fantasy book I would love to squeeze in if I can make the time, but I feel like this book is going to be great for any time of year when I'm really in the mood for a good cozy. That is A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. I'm actually shocked that this book is only self-published at the moment. I feel like there's been a lot of buzz around this book, and I mean, look at how cozy this cover is. I'm obsessed. It is going to be the first in a series, but let me just try to convince you to read this one as well by the back. A human, a dwarf, and an elf walk into a bake-off. In the heart of Addenshire, where elfish enchantments and dwarven delights rule, Arletta Starstone, a human confectionist, works twice as hard perfecting her unique blend of baking and apothecary herbs. So when an orc neighbor secretly enters her creations into the prestigious elven baking battle, Arletta faces a dilemma. Being magicless, her participation in the competition could draw more scowls than smiles, and if Arletta wants to prove her talent and establish her culinary reputation, this human will need more than just her pastry craft to sweeten the odds. While competing, she'll set off on a journey of mouth-watering pastries, self-discovery, heartwarming friendships, and romance, while questioning whether winning the baking battle is the true prize. This one does have a little bit of spice, I believe, like a little bit of romance to the story. I'm obsessed. I could totally fly through this book because the font is really big as well. This cover has just been screaming to me, even from my shelves. It's just like, read me. Like, I know I'm gonna love this book, so we will hope that I can squeeze it in this month. If I need a break between all these big fantasy books, I'm gonna pull out Freida McFadden's new book called The Boyfriend. This is about a girl who has always had trouble dating. She starts to date this guy, and she believes he's not who he says he is. I don't know what that means, but I've seen a lot of people give this 5 stars. I feel like in typical Freida fashion, this is just gonna be a really easy, quick read, and it's probably gonna be one that I give 4 or 5 stars because I've loved every single one of her books. I've been eyeing this, I've been anticipating it, and it is definitely going to be a great palate cleanser. This one is a holiday read, which you can say, Olivia, isn't it a little bit early? Yes, but it is Thanksgiving, and after Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving weekend, I'm going to immediately be pulling out all of my holiday wintry books. So if I can get to finale, I'm definitely going to be pulling out Spectacular. This is a very short little novella, and the illustrations in this are so cute, as well as the hardback. There's an illustration on almost every single page, so it does make make the book very quick to get through, but this is just so beautiful. It's red and gray colors. I'm just so excited about this book. Haven't even finished this series, but I feel like this is definitely going to be a book that everyone is reading this December. So if I just need a little bit of holiday cheer, or I cannot wait until December, I am going to be picking this one up immediately. The last audiobook that I do want to squeeze in is the third Gilmore by Kelly Bishop. I have been seeing everyone cry about this book, and I might even go ahead and get the physical book as well because I think there's pictures. I've heard you definitely want to have some tissues on hand with this one. I actually don't know much about Kelly at all either, other than the fact she was on Gilmore Girls. I don't know much about her life. I don't know much about her relationships or what things were like when she was on Gilmore Girls herself. So I am really excited to get to this one. I think this is just gonna be an instant 5 stars. Alright friends, well that is all that I have for you. Yes, it is a pretty massive TBR, but I was just sitting trying to make this TBR, and these are truly all of the books that I really would love to finish by the end of the year. And of course I'm gonna play a little catch up, try to finish my 3 currently reading books, and hopefully we will finish out the year strong. So even though I'm not quite ready for the holidays, this is just going to be a great cozy season for me. Even though life is really crazy busy, I'm hoping I can still make the time to read. I hope you can still make the time to read, but I definitely encourage you to take this season slow and invest in yourself, invest in your family, and hopefully it'll be a great holiday season for all of us. Thank you so much for watching this video, supporting my channel. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.